for. Hopefully you guys will come back. I just want to take the time that I have, I guess, to first just tell you why I'm doing this, why I'm running for Congress for the 6th District of Michigan. Is in my 25 years in healthcare and almost 24 years now as a nurse, I've really had a front row seat in the decline of our society. From the fact of the disintegration of the family to the degradation in health care for people. And of course we have Obamacare right now, it's on the horizon, which I am telling you is a horrible, horrible thing that we're going to be going through if they ever do fund that. Really, it came down to seeing the families, the loss of opportunity for families, just the incentives that you look at families to begin with. There are 3 things that families face in America now that I would not think they would ever have to face in America. Consistently having to pay higher taxes, having to fight off the effects of inflation, and the most insidious thing is that our government programs are actually inadvertently, I guess would be the nice way to put it, force families to split up. We can talk about young families that just got married. We can talk about people that have been married for 45 years. These are the stories that I would hear in the hospital. People that had just had their 50th wedding anniversary and grandma and grandpa are getting a divorce because Social Security will pay them a benefit if they split up. I mean, they get more money, basically. And if you do not have a family that already has wealth, it becomes a viable option. The problem is that sends a message to the rest of the family. That sends a message to the kids, to the grandkids, that these commitments that we made to each other are not forever. They're not for real. They can be bought off, basically. These are things that I feel we need to have representatives in Washington that are promoting the family. We should not have welfare laws where if dad gets kicked out of the house or if there's a financial benefit for there just to be a single parent. You know, there's what, I think 20 to 28 states right now in the United States where a single mother and 2 kids will bring in close to $30,000 a year. And if there's a father involved in it, I mean, the amount is cut in half. So you see the choices that these people are making. I believe that welfare itself is wrong-minded for individuals and it's wrong-minded for corporations. But if you're going to give welfare to families that are impoverished, there shouldn't be this incentive to break up the family. The breakup of the family is the reason why education is so bad in America. We can go through so many different programs trying to make things better. My wife's been a lifelong school teacher. I cannot tell you all the different programs the government has spent gazillions of dollars on to bring our scores up, when the facts are, since the Department of Education has had its hands in the mix, our scores have done nothing but go down. There hasn't been a blip up. It hasn't been an improvement, and now the states are fighting against Common Core, which I'm telling you is not going to do anything more but to alienate people within the families from each other, and the education experience and the knowledge that they take in is not going to be kept, because the fact is that kids from homes that have somebody at home and somebody at work, they do better. They just do better all the way around. It doesn't matter if they're wealthy or if they're poor. If they are able to have a mother or father at home at all times with the kids, it's just a great benefit. That's where the inflation comes in. You know, our federal government, it's drunk. Our federal government is drunk on what they consider easy money. Well, it's easy for us in the here and now, but the fact is we're enslaving our future generations to a lifetime of paying off a debt with taxes, currently, how long does an average American have to work to pay off their taxes for the year? I believe it's close to the end of April right now. Okay, that's not based on us owing $17 trillion, which is about where we're at this point. Do you get the feeling from any representative that they're doing anything to attack that debt? All I hear out of Washington are new programs. And any program that relies on the unborn coming into existence to pay it off is immoral. To take the money from the future, from future generations, for our comfort now is wrong-minded, immoral, and it's terrible to think that people would put their kids virtually into tax slavery so that we can have things like Obamacare and the cronyism that goes on in Washington. I have to point out that the families were really the initial reason why I had an interest in running, because I believe that we can turn it around, but we have to get government out of so many aspects of our lives, and it doesn't seem like there are any politicians out there or individuals that are willing to not take the corporate money. Look where we are. A congressman today in America has to reach over 700,000 people, where at the very beginning of our country, it was around 30,000. And then for quite some time, it was around 40 to 50,000 per representative. Now they have 15 times the people to reach. So many of them feel that they have to take those corporate handouts to their campaign, to their PACs, promises for jobs when they get out of office, all these things in exchange for deals. Well, those deals are what is killing this country. Those deals are what are driving us all into tax slavery. I can tell you that they have enough money right now to do the basic functions of government without raising our taxes. Another issue that I have, and why I'm running, is our current representative. He spends half of his time flitting around the United States, Florida, Chicago, all on the East Coast, at golf outings and stuff with Pfizer, with all of these multinational corporations to get funding. When I tell people that, especially more establishment types, they laugh at me and say, well, that's how politics are done, is that you have to do that to get the money to win. I have to tell you that, in my opinion, and the people that I've spoken with in Cass County, Edwardsburg and Dowagiac are the only two places that I have been yet door to door, I really feel that Americans are hopefully finally fed up with this paradigm that we're in. Because as long as we expect our representatives to have to go and get the handouts, we're going to be in this perpetual debt cycle, spending more than what we have. The government should operate on what it takes in from taxes, and that's it. And those should be a heck of a lot less than what they are now. It seems to me that our representatives have forgotten the most fundamental thing, and that is their oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. It's like they do it just because it's part of the tradition. They don't mean the words that they're saying. When you take that oath, to me, when I take that oath, that means that we keep government to the limits described in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. There are specific things that the government are supposed to do. Everything else is left to the people to decide. It's because of that that we have our loss of liberty. It's because of that that we don't have opportunity. It's why we have an unemployment rate, I'm sorry, is much higher than 7 or 8%. I don't know for how long now, how many groups of people that have fallen off the unemployment rolls that they're not counting. I've seen numbers on the internet that estimate that it's around 19 to 20% when you take into account all of the unemployment, especially since 2008. 10 minutes? Okay. I'm gonna say one more thing real quick. The final issue is our privacy, and this is something that is not a Democrat issue. This is not a Republican issue. This is an American issue. These are our fundamental rights that are vanishing before our eyes, and if we do not, as Americans, stand together up against our government and against the representatives like my opponent, who every time that he has had a chance to vote with the people on the issues of privacy or on the issues of the Fourth Amendment protections, he has voted against us. He co-sponsored CISPA, which basically would have allowed any third party, your internet provider, the grocery store, to report on you without a search warrant. That's where we are today, and I hope they have your vote and support. Any questions or answers? Yes, sir.
I asked a question to the other gentleman. I'm going to ask you. Have you or will you sign a document saying that you will not support any new taxes?
I will not only sign a document like that, I will work every day to get rid of these taxes that we're paying. We do not need the bloated thing that we have in Washington, D.C. It is a tragedy that so much money is wasted just to fulfill the obligations that a person has made with a multinational corporation. It's unconscionable that they do that. And then who pays for it? How can there be a business that's too big to fail? Is that an American way of thinking? I thought America was about capitalism. I thought it was about starting at the egg stage where you have very little resources, but you've got an idea. And without regulations, you're able to build that up into something a little bit bigger, then a little bit bigger. But you do it on your own sweat, with your own work, and you get all the credit for it. But today in America, it is disgusting to me to think that you could be a business and be deemed too big to fail, because what that means is these large corporations, they get all of the profit, and we, the taxpayer, get all of the loss. And I'm tired of having a representative in Washington that goes along with this junk. And I just, for lack of a better word, I kind of toned it down there with junk. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
I've noticed something since Obama's been in office, and it's just more and more regulation. But I'm a nurse too, and I think it's just disgusting what's happened around here with our representatives, with the washing machines, our cleaning supplies. Everything's getting dirtier and nastier. Just as a homemaker, I've never had such filthy clothes. I went out and bought a $5,000 washer and dryer, and it's ridiculous how they work. You get no water. You may as well go down the creek and beat them. Your clothes come out. I've never had clothes like that. They're taking everything out of the detergents, everything out of the dishwasher. We're getting sicker and sicker. We have more salmonella.
I hate to cut you off, but I think that you're touching again on the agenda for the 21st century.
Whatever
I
it
mean,
is.
that's what these policies, right. They come through our regulatory agencies. You gotta understand that there are, there's quite a few groups out there that think that humans are bad for the planet. And they're legislating this. These are international groups that are lobbying in our state legislatures for laws to restrict our use of our own property in a way that we deem fit. I don't know if that helps you or not, but you need to go to St. Vincent de Paul and buy yourself an old-style washer and dryer. That's what I did. About $79.
Upton has done this with the light bulbs. You can't see for those.
I would love to talk about those light bulbs for a second.
You probably was up in front of Fred's house.
You know that Fred, he backed that,
Sponsored.
sponsored the whole thing. behind it, pushed it. Then when they had more than enough votes for it, he knew if he voted for that, he would be in trouble when he came back here. But we cannot be tricked by that double-handed procedure that we get. Take a moment, type in on the internet Fred Upton's voting record and just start going backwards, and it looks like a schizophrenic person did it. Because every other vote is contradicting the previous vote, like he's trying to keep more than one person happy. You know, I have to keep myself happy, and that would be to maintain my oath to uphold the Constitution, and that would represent my constituents, the individuals in this country whose rights have been eroded for too long. Yes, sir?
One of the problems with going to the internet and looking that up, just as you're describing, is because how they classify these bills, you don't know what's in them. Because it sounds like a real good title on it.
You cannot read the title.
Yeah,
Because
the bill is completely different.
You can be guaranteed that whatever the title says, they are doing the opposite.
Affordable health care.
Yeah, affordable health care, exactly.
Well, you know, the affordable health care bill actually started as a bill that was entitled to control the interest rate for returning disabled veterans. And all that word was taken out and was substituted with the Obamacare stuff.
You know, recently, you know, there's a lot of to talk about the Patient Protection and Affordable Health Care Act, just so that, to get this on the record, people don't realize that the continuing resolution before this one, Fred Upton voted for it, okay? He likes to say that he 40 times has stood up to stop this, where he's written legislation or supported it, that every last one of those things failed, okay? Then why is it, when it comes time for the real fight, he votes to fund it? That's my question for him, okay? Now, obviously he's changed his mind this time, because the majority of the people are finally saying, hey, we do not want this thing, and I'm glad for that. But we've had 26, 28 years of this flip-flopping, and I'm tired of it.
Question that I asked John also. Did you fill out the Madison Project form for Jack Hogan Day?
No, I have not.
Are you going to fill it out?
I definitely will fill it out. I have no problem filling it out. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Have you held any other public office, or is this the first time you've
This
seen it?
is, I'm a nurse, okay? I've been in the, unlike Fred, I've been in the workforce my whole life. Mostly on night shift. I understand what it takes to try to work and raise a family. I know that I do not want to vote for another politician. I hope that answers your question. I guess my political experience would be raising havoc at the county commissioners when I was 8 and 9 years old, when my dad was a commissioner. I used to eat the cake and the punch before they got to it. Yes.
If I were to ask you about term limits, I'm sure all politicians would say, yes, that sounds like a good idea, not before. But just raising that question, you know, it sounds like your answer yes, but for the group, for the record.
Definitely. Let me tell you about term limits. You know, I remember when I was 17 years old, and I was able to meet Fred back then, and Mark Siljan, and all those guys, because my dad was at the radio station, and they would come in and talk and what have you. And I remember that, I only remember because somebody reminded me about it. This is not an independent memory from back then. But that he ran on term limits, that was his big issue, and I just think that is I'd have a hard time living with myself to run on that. What would be your suggestion for terms? 6 years? 4 years? 2 years? I think 2 years would not be enough, but I would definitely be for term limits. If they came up on a vote, or if my constituents wanted me to put forth a bill, I would definitely be behind term limits. Yes, sir.
Rumor has it that part of the Medicaid expansion plan, there was part of a deal with Obama, that if we went ahead and passed that here in the state of Michigan, that he in turn would bail out the city of Detroit. Are you for or against federal bailout of any city?
there's a book that has a chapter in it, and the chapter is The Name of the Game is Bailout. And that is in The Creature from Jekyll Island, and I suggest everybody to read that book. And I'm gonna tell you what, I am for no bailouts, period.
What was the name of the book?
The Creature from Jekyll Island,
Written in 99.
or 92, I
Was
think.
it 92?
92. And actually, if you don't read the whole, the book's pretty big.
Yeah.
If you read anything, just read that chapter, the second chapter. The name of the game is Bailout. And I sure as heck wish I would have read that when I was younger, because it will just open your mind up to what is going on in Washington.
Okay, your 20 minutes has expired.
Okay.
Can I ask just one question quick?
No.
There was one over here too.
Okay, go over.
Oh, I guess not now. Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Question is, with Fred's war chest and you being an unknown, how do you generate the revenue that it's gonna take to mount a campaign? And how he won't do the smearing because he can't smear you because you haven't ran for office.
I got you. Do I have time to answer that
So
now?
you're saying now,
Or
pick up my
do
French
you
video.
want to
We can
answer
talk
that
later.
after?
We can talk
Because
later.
I want to answer that question, actually. Go ahead, I'll tell you what. I was talking with my campaign manager, Steve Cara, today about this. And people have to understand that I'm a nurse, and I'm not going to have the war chest that Fred Upton has. My ability to win is based on the ability of the people to understand their position and to get out and knock on doors and talk to friends. That's the facts. Because you see, just like I said before, Fred Upton has to reach 705,000 people, okay? And he can do it because he has sold his oath to corporations to get the money to do it. Through TV, through whatever type of media. In fact, he even has commercials already being run that he had nothing to do with that are singing his praises, okay? The people are going to have to actually want a change. I'm going to, Pardon? Oh, I thought you were asking.
No, he said that's what Obama said.
Well, let me tell you
We'll have a
what.
change.
I tell you what, we need a change, but we need to change the other direction,
Yeah.
okay? We need to stop having, at the top, the RNC and DNC looking like the same party. So, we can talk more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.